answering what my burnout looked like for me. Now, it is different for everyone. So my experience with this may not be yours, it may not be anyone else's, but I've been asked to share my journey with it. So I'm hoping that this is helpful, inspiring, comforting, whatever it is that you need, or pure education. It may not be yourself, but it may be someone else that you know who, experiences burnout, and this may give you a little bit of more of an insight into it, because it's not talked about. It's really not talked about. When it first happened to me, I called it a breakdown, because that's how it felt. It felt like systems in my body broke down. They stopped functioning like they should. So for me, I experienced weight gain almost overnight. So mine was actually triggered by a virus. It was triggered by COVID. It was the second time I had COVID, and I wasn't that sick with it. But then afterwards, I was vomiting. Hello, Tilly. Was vomiting. I had no energy. I was beyond fatigued, but I didn't let myself rest, and I tried to keep going, and when I did keep going, I would vomit. So that was a horrible thing of it. It didn't last long. That was in the acute stage. Then my legs stopped working. So that was terrifying. I went from being really fit, really active, being able to carry weights, mow the lawn, walk, like I would power walk multiple times a week, to literally only being able to be on the sofa or my bed. I couldn't even go from my house to the bottom of the driveway to get the mail. I couldn't walk my children into school. So, and that was terrifying, because back then I actually had no idea what was happening. Just all these physical things were going wrong. So yeah, the fatigue was deep. I also just felt empty. I'm not someone who's prone to depression. If anything, I would tend to go to the anxiety. I just felt empty. I had no zest, no passion. I was tearful. I didn't know what was happening. I didn't know how I would get out of it. I didn't know how long it would last. Everything just felt hopeless. And I did have anxiety. I had really, really bad health anxiety. And partly because I didn't understand. I didn't know what was happening. So the systems for me, they were my main symptoms. And what actually happened was the virus triggered MCAS, which is mast cell activation syndrome, and my thyroid stopped working properly. So then I had hypothyroidism, and then my HPA also went totally out of whack. So I ended up with adrenal dysfunction. I wasn't producing enough cortisol at the right times of the day when it's supposed to rise, and then when cortisol is supposed to be dropping, I was producing it. And I had disrupted sleep. My cycles were disrupted. I couldn't focus. I couldn't read a book. I could stare at a movie, which, but even then there wasn't much pleasure or enjoyment out of it. And I physically couldn't cook, clean, work. I couldn't handle any stress at all. It was like my skin had suddenly gone really thin, and I was so raw and so vulnerable, and I had no buffer. There was no protection at all. So if anything even slightly stressful came into my life, it would completely tip me over. I would be so overwhelmed, so stressed, so in it. There was no regulation happening at all, and I would try to do my yoga nidra practice, and that just felt really hard, and it just, everything, it felt like everything fell apart. And it did. And it wasn't until I let myself actually fall apart and I stopped trying to hold it all together and try and not let it happen, when I actually just went, like, this is awful, and I don't know what's happening. I can't seem to think my way out of it. And I had really, really good medical help. They ran fantastic tests. We introduced different supplements, different medications. Also, for my thyroid, I've only got half a thyroid. And that started to shift the needle, and then slowly and slowly I've been on this recovery journey and towards healing. But I've been asked to share my experience with burnout. Now, it looks so different for everyone. I already had a history with the thyroid, so that was something that went. I already had a history with, I've had PTSD, I've been through trauma, I've had childhood experiences and teenagehood experiences, and then early 20s experiences that really had shaped my brain already. And plus I am an HSP, so a highly sensitive person, and we are more prone to things going wrong. So for other people, for me it was MCAS and the thyroid and the adrenals. For other people it may be, chronic fatigue and gastric stuff gets really triggered. For me, my legs don't work. If I have a bad day, my legs don't work. That's not everyone's experience at all. Some people can be in burnout and go running for 5 kilometers in the morning. So it is completely different. It's my story. And when I'm coaching you, yes, my story's with me, but your sessions are about you. And whatever I went through, it doesn't really matter, because actually what matters is what's happening for you, and then pulling apart everything and working together to get you out of it.